We have to talk about your journey to becoming a homeschooling mom, because I know this was a process. If I understand correctly from everything I've read, you did not necessarily aspire to be a homeschooling mom from the beginning. Where did the seed get planted?
So COVID, I mean, it's kind of cliche, I guess. We were COVID homeschoolers. I will say, so the history was that, work was going well. And my husband, we had two working parents, though we were not thriving. We were barely surviving. It was really, really hard. And when we were at home, my oldest in particular was having just really age inappropriate fights, like tears, crying, slamming doors, all of these things. And all kids have those things, but it was every day. It was so intense. We were working with people to try to help with it. And COVID happened. The kids came home from school. And 2 weeks in, I remember turning to my husband and I said, when was the last time she threw a tantrum? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, well, that's new. And we were left wondering, was it always just school? Because, for me, I mean, she was only 5, but she'd been in daycare since she was 9 months old. So for us, how are we supposed to tell the difference? And sure, they'd been home from school breaks and stuff, but it wasn't like this. It was so different. It was dramatically different. She was laughing and smiling. She was a different child. And it's one of those things, like once your eyes are open to something, you just can't close them again. And so I just spent that whole summer like deep diving this homeschooling thing. I was like, my husband was like, what if we taught her at home? I was like, what is that even called? Like, I didn't know any homeschool. I was like, I don't think you can do that. It sounds so crazy now because I'm so entrenched in the homeschooling community. But at the time, like, I didn't know a homeschooler. Like, I guess I kind of heard about it, like, how people talk about it on, like on the TV about how, the crazy homeschoolers over there. And now we're those crazy homeschoolers. But, I just didn't. I didn't think. I didn't know. And I started the Twitter account because I was trying to meet homeschoolers. It was never an intention, and then, it kind of blew up. But I just was doing that to make friends. Like, I didn't know anybody that was doing this. And then it was COVID, so you weren't going to meet anybody. So I did all the deep dives into the podcast and I read all the books and I found Peter Gray, and there was this amazing podcast called School Sucks Show. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to him. Brett, I loved that podcast. I was trying to send it to somebody the other day. I can't find it anymore. But he had hundreds of episodes, and just from anybody, everybody, everywhere. I met, Peter Gray there, and Carrie McDonald, and Isaac Morehouse, and, all of them. And I just did just listen and listen and listen. And I was like, I think I want to do this. And that summer, my husband asked me, he says, what do you want for your 40th birthday? And I said, I want to homeschool my kids. And because it felt like something we couldn't do. It felt like it was just so pie in the sky. I was like, this is a huge thing that I want. And so we put the kids back in school in August. It was terrible because we both had full-time working jobs. I was like, I don't know how to do this. And then I just couldn't take it. And I said, I can't do this. And I said, there's never been a better time to try this because ASU was still mostly remote. Like, I had to go on campus a couple of times, but I was like, we're just going to do it. And if we hate it, we can go back. Like, we could just try it for 6 months. And I knew, I think we both knew, we're like, yeah, we're going to do this. And so I count that we officially started homeschooling January 2021 because I don't know what we were doing in 2020 that was not homeschooling, and I don't count it as homeschooling. We had a great time, but there was not a lot of school involved. So we started then, and I'm in love with it. It was just loved everything about it. It was just so much better. My children were better. Like, everything was better. I was better. I've said this before on Twitter, I think, that I felt healed by my children. Like, I was supposed to be with my children. And this time period that I was away from them, like, part of what was wrong with me, like, yeah, my job was going fine, but like, I wasn't okay and they weren't okay. And I was supposed to be with them and they were supposed to be with me. And we're just so much better. So I loved everything about it. And then it took me another 3 years, I think, to officially decide that I was going to quit my job. And that had a lot to do with, I'm replaceable at work, but I'm not replaceable at home. And I couldn't homeschool them the way I wanted to while working the way I was. And also me and the university were starting to have some disagreements about how education should work. But the main reason was I didn't want to be like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. Like, I kept finding myself like worrying about work instead of being with my kids. Like, I was like this morning, I was 100%, there's nothing, this is what I do. Like, this is what I do. I sit with my kids. And that, if we need to take a little extra time to do math, we're having some drama with our math curriculum right now with my oldest. And it's a thing. And so we needed to have a long conversation about that. And that's just what we did. And I didn't have to worry like, oh, do I have that meeting? Oh, do I need to go? It's just like, this is what we're doing. So that was, and it was torture to quit. It was really, really hard to quit because this is the kind of job, you don't walk away from it and you can't get it back. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to take a 6-month sabbatical. It's if you leave, you're gone. And I could get back, but it would take me like another decade to get back in. So, but it was torture. It was torture. And then it's such a cliche. Once you make the decision, it was like, oh, I just felt so much better. It was like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to do. And then this summer, because I officially resigned in May. And so this summer, the last 3 months has just been magic, just to be with my kids and work on them and love them and worry about math curriculum. I mean, like, I don't know anyone else. So like, I have a good time looking at math curriculum. I'm like, what are all the options? Oh, this one's not. So I'm weird.